Hello, Jakob. This is your comments for task 4 regarding language. First of all, this is quite a good text, I think. You write well, you write fluently, and it's quite easy to follow your logic and your reasoning throughout. Mostly your language is correct. There are a couple of things I'd like to mention. Two small things that are quite easily improved on. That is one, never put a comma before that. One of those straightforward, easy to remember rules about punctuation in English is that we never put a comma before that. A couple of places you use the apostrophe S when you mean plural, which is just an S. So NGOs, you just write NGO and then an S, no apostrophe there. Outside of that, your language is correct. So those are very minor things that you can very easily correct. I'm going to talk a little bit about the structuring of the text, how you convey your message to the reader with your structure, a little bit about the paragraphs, and then a little bit about what you can do to make this text seem more of a discussion and an assessment than what it is right now, I think. Beginning with the structuring and how you speak to your reader, you have an introduction. Yay, very good. You say that this text falls in two parts, which it does. I think what you could do to create more of a coherence between 1 and 2, so define, when you begin talking about Breitenbauer, you can talk, or you can perhaps define what a comprehensive approach is in more detail. Because while it seems obvious from what you write right before you start talking about Breitenbauer, where you talk about Martin Lidegaard's initial idea of what we were supposed to be doing with ISIL, that seems comprehensive because what he's talking about is more than military measures. He talks about different things to do with governance, etc. Define, when you go into the Breitenbauer part of the text, what is meant by comprehensive when he talks about it. So with that, we know this is not just including more things, which is what comprehensive means. It's including more than one thing. But when we talk about a comprehensive approach, what is that in a military context? Sorry, military context. That would make the transition even stronger than it is right now. In terms of the different paragraphs, they're quite good, I think. There's just one on page 2, the first one on page 2, where I think you've got 2 thesis or topic sentences. So divide that into 2. Otherwise, they're working quite well. What I would suggest you do in your editing phase, when you've written the first draft of the text, maybe you've left the text for a while and you go back and read it and you look at, are you actually doing what you're supposed to be doing, which is to be discussing and assessing Breitenbauer's views on comprehensive approach. You have to make a bit clearer that that's what you're doing, because to me right now it seems like you're describing his point of view but not discussing it or assessing it. So make that clearer using language that sort of signposts to the reader that you are now discussing. And that's sort of to do with basically phrasing it in a way that makes it obvious to the reader that you have a point of view, he has a point of view, or there are more than one ways to look at this problem, etc. So I would suggest you do that, because otherwise it would seem that you're not quite on the right taxonomical level, and you don't want that impression left on the reader that you're just being descriptive all the way through, but you're actually arriving at a conclusion. And that leads me also to say that towards the end, we need something that seems like a conclusion. You sort of leave it at what Breitenbauer is saying about this issue. So we want to hear your voice coming through, because that's what we expect from a discussion and an assessment. That's basically the highest taxonomical level there is your assessment of something. So your voice should be a little bit more present in the text, I think. You've done a really good job of describing in very logical, straightforward language, and now we want to hear your point of view. So go back and look at that in your editing phase and see if you're there in the text. When you're supposed to be there, it needs to be really clear. And it is a linguistic task. It's something you can do with language, just to sharpen that up a little bit. But outside of that, it is a very, very good text, and I think that in terms of how to structure paragraphs and make them coherent and create logical, fluent writing, I think you're doing a really good job. Write to me if you want me to elaborate or you have any issues with this. I'm going to try and be there for the final face-to-face session in Yorkshire, so you can grab me there as well if you want to. Okay, that's it for me. Bye.